that if you could do one thing for every company in the world, it would be to buy them a flip chart. And the reason you say that, Mark, is because you're such a believer in action items, capturing and reviewing action items at every meeting. We're talking meetings again here, but the old who's going to do what by when, and we have all these great ideas and things happen in meetings, but if we don't capture who's going to do what by when, it's very unlikely that we're going to make the progress that we could. So maybe if a team's listening here and they're struggling, one of the best things they could do is go get a flip chart, get a whiteboard, whatever. Make sure, probably the flip chart's better because you can save the paper, but make sure that we know who's going to do what, who's going to own what, by when, and we keep reviewing those over and over. And it's amazing how when we do that, stuff starts happening. But when we don't, we can spin our wheels in mediocrity. So capturing action items, reviewing those, that's one of the most catalytic things a team can do to turn around their behavior. I believe that with all my heart.
Yeah, and I've just seen it happen over and over and over again. I would argue the defining moment in the history of some of the organizations I've had the privilege to work with were when they started documenting their action items. I know that sounds crazy, but I've literally had leaders tell me that they had gotten very, very good at talking about things, and they were awful at doing things. And just something as simple as what we're discussing. Now, I guess in today's world, you do it virtually, but you can have a virtual whiteboard in your Zoom meeting where you're recording real time who's going to do what by when. And when that happens, a couple things are at play that you may not immediately be aware of. One is it allows the entire group to agree on the action item, because a facilitator in virtually every case is paraphrasing and abbreviating things. Somebody might talk for 5 or 6 minutes, 10 minutes, a half hour, and somebody says, okay, have you got that action item? Well, then it's incumbent on the facilitator to capture the essence of it. And when they do that real time in a meeting, everybody can look at it and go, yeah, you got it right. Or, no, that's not actually what we have said. And I've had people say, no, that's not what I've agreed to. Well, see, this is part of the process. Is you write it down in the moment and everybody looks at it and everybody says, yeah, okay, that's it. And then you say, when are you going to get it done to the person whose name is by the action item? And they give you a date. And so some of this is the accountability, the peer pressure, the clarification. You don't think about a lot of that when you write it down, but it is pound for pound the most powerful idea that I think you'll ever get from us on how to improve a team's performance.
Yeah. You've got a great story, Mark. Years ago, you were doing some consulting with an organization, remember? And y'all are having a day, and you can you tell that story about capturing the action items? That was really, I love that story.
Well, let's see if this is the one you're referring to. I'm old enough to have a lot of stories. I was in a meeting for my very first time with this group, and something was said that sounded like an action item. And so I jumped up and I grabbed a flip chart and I wrote it down, and I wrote the senior leader's name because it was obvious this was going to be his action item. And I said, when can you get that done? And the place just burst into laughter. Now, this wasn't my first rodeo. So I said, excuse me, is it not your custom to document your action items? And to the senior leader's credit, he said, no, it's not our custom, but it's a great idea, and I'll get it done by Thursday. Again, I think that was a defining moment for that organization, because the days of just talking about stuff and everybody leaving and doing whatever they wanted to do, those days were over.
Yeah.
And it was a good day.
Yeah, and it was a good organization. They just had the opportunity to go to great because they made that little change. And so somebody may be listening, they've got a team. It may not be awful. It just may not be reaching its potential. And so that might be a tweak that we can do. And then if we do, we got one more idea here. Let's give people the gift of accountability. The senior leader said, I'll get that done by Thursday. We got to go back and check on Thursday. Did you get this done? We got to review those action items. We got to make sure that we reframe accountability. I think so many times, Mark, we think accountability is just people are in trouble, they're not doing what they're supposed to be, and they don't want accountability conversations. I think the best organizations reframe accountability, and we all agree together that as a team, we're going after this. We're trying to move the ball down the field together. And if we can do that, we really can make progress. That accountability really can be a gift. We've seen that over and over.
Yeah, and so let's link that to action items. So here's the way that we have used action items for decades, is not only do you capture them in the meeting, real time, you review them at the end of the meeting, be sure everybody's clear, nobody's had a change of heart. You then distribute them after the meeting. And then when you get ready to send out the next meeting agenda, they're attached, and there's a time slot on the agenda when it says review previous action items. And all of a sudden people realize, oh, they're serious about this.
Yeah.
Now, let me play through a quick scenario. Let's say we're in a meeting and somebody hasn't done their action item, because you're reviewing them, and you get to the third item and you say, hey, Randy, did you get this done? If Randy says, no, I did not. Now, this is assuming this was not a time sensitive or critical issue. If it was, you probably need a different conversation. But if it was not particularly sensitive from a timing standpoint, and Randy says, I didn't get it done, then you say, well, give us a new date, because we still need to get that done. So again, you're communicating in that situation. Randy's going to go, oh, this isn't going to go away. I can't just ignore it because they're going to bring it back up.
Yeah.
Now, if you get to another meeting and Randy has not done that action item, my suggestion, and I've actually done this, is say, okay, time out. Said, Randy, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. You gave us a date. You've given us a new date. What's up? Like, what is happening here? And I have seen the scenario when somebody says, well, I never really wanted to do that to start with. It's like, well, okay, then your opportunity, you've had two already. The first time when your name went on it, you could have and should have said, I'm not comfortable doing that. And then when it came up again, you knew it wasn't going away. So here we are. Now, the question is, can you get comfortable doing it? Do you need resources? Do you need assistance? Or, if again, depending on the situation, do you need us to give that action item to somebody else? And any number of things could happen. You could say, well, if Joe would help me because he's done this before and I really haven't, if he'd help me, I'd do it. Well, then you put Joe and Randy's name on it. Or you may decide, either the team decides, the leader decides to move it from Randy to Joe. But you have those conversations. And then I would end that by saying, okay, Randy, in this case, we've either partnered you with somebody or we've taken this action item away from you. But I would talk to the entire team and say, if any of you are ever unwilling or unable to take an action item, the time to say that is in the moment. We wouldn't have documented it unless the team had decided it was something that needed to happen. And so you can't just not do stuff that the team has decided needs to happen. And I think you have that conversation in front of the team. I've had it in front of teams, and I think it's the healthy adult to adult way to deal with situations like that. And again, you can begin turning accountability into something punitive, into the gift.
Here's my challenge for you. Give us 30 days. The Lead Everyday Academy is packed with videos, tools, and practical content to help you become the leader your team deserves. Your first 30 days are completely free. Click the link in the description and get started today.